swords.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
Greetings, Wanderers, and welcome to Velen's Chosen. We're ready to buff your game, and we exist to help budget players stay competitive on the ladder and end every season just a little bit higher than the last one, no matter what your card pool.
Put your faith in the light.
We're ready to put our faith in the light today. I'm NotRobMay, your host. I go by Twick in-game, and joining me today is Andrew Brown, the Dragon Priest himself.
What up?
And we have an aggressive shaman. Evemartyn, what's up?
I'm an aggressive shaman.
I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm not telling you what I've played this week before the show starts anymore.
Yeah, the only female orc I can think of is Garona, and she's a rogue. So
Well, she's awesome.
Garona's
kick butt.
some kind of... Yeah, we'll just keep it at that to keep it PG.
She's
some
a boss.
kind of orc. All right.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right. So, what's our snapshot this week? Where are you guys at?
Well, we're done with League of Explorers now, so back to some regular good old shows, you know?
Yeah, the staff is back and all is well.
Mm-hmm.
Eve,
Back.
where are you at?
Do I have to tell you? Are you talking
don't
about
have
like
to.
my rank on ladder?
I mean, if you don't want to say your rank, that's fine.
I think I'm at 13 or 14. Which one's raid leader?
Raid leader's 14.
Okay, I'm at 14.
Red Corsair's 13.
That's right.
I haven't been pushing that hard. I basically had a lot of fun in the Tavern Brawl this week.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That was super fun trying to figure out interesting decks to make for that. And
So
I just
cool.
like the whole winter theme thing. And then I thought I would try a couple of the new decks that I'd been hearing about and had been smashing my face in. So I tried Aggro Shaman. And when it
Nice.
went toe-to-toe with Face Hunter and beat it, I was like, all right, it is legit.
I'm in.
I put my faith in the shaman.
you go.
Yeah.
Andrew, where are you at?
I have been more frustrated with the ladder this week than probably any other time in my life. But
I feel like you say this every month.
yeah, exactly. I probably say that every time I'm frustrated. But really, it seems like I've tried so many different kinds of decks, so many, control, aggro, whatever, and it just seems like nothing is consistent. And
That's true, yeah.
it's so frustrating. There's so much stuff out there on the ladder right now, and I guess to some point you don't want to just face hunter and kill everyone because that doesn't feel great, but
and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't even work anymore. With all the Reno decks out there and the more
Sure,
control-y
sure.
decks.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, but I finally found Zeta Lot's Brand Dragon deck, and I climbed a little bit last night and made it up to rank 8. So I single digits feels pretty good. I'd love to make it up to 5 again, but
Nice.
yeah, that's the most consistent thing I've
Nice.
found so far. What about you, Rob?
I've been playing anything that tickles me. Like, anything that's cool, I'm, like, loving. I've been on this priest kick for a little while, and it worked a little bit, and then I dropped, like, 4 or 5, 6 games, and I'm just like, oh, my gosh, I can't do this anymore. So I even jumped over, played, like, 3 games as Shaman, went 0-3. I'm like, I can't even aggro people to death anymore. Then I played mid-range Pally and climbed, like, 4 stars and then lost 2 in a row. I'm like, I can't do this like 4-12 streak anymore. So I tuned into some streams. I watched Zeta play some more. I'm like, I can't do that. And I watched Kibler doing an Elite Star Seeker deck in Legend and beating people with it. I'm like, how
There
do
we
you guys
go.
make it look so easy? So I finally ended up tuning into Bloody's stream, and he climbed from rank 5 to 2 in like really short amount of time. Only dropped like 4 games total, and then
What was he playing?
dropped like 5 in a row after that win streak. He was playing Ostkaka's Secret Pally that I ended up casting this last week.
Oh, nice.
And that deck is insane. It actually has a better matchup against Priest now, or a Freeze Mage,
Wow.
which was notorious for being one of its top 3 worst matchups.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah,
tried it
that's
right
the-
before we started and won my game. So
yeah, it's
Nice.
so good. Because I was trying a list that I got from Higgins that was panning out pretty good. Like I went on a 4-game win streak with it and climbed back to where I was at rank 13, like full stars, and then finally pushed me over the edge. But it basically was running Argent Squires instead of Secret Keepers, and it was doing some serious work.
Huh.
But Ostkaka's list adds another dynamic by just throwing Rag into the mix, and it was so funny because like a couple months ago, when I hit Legend, I was like, man, I kind of just want to replace Tyrion with Rag, and see how that pans out. And then I just kept getting face rolled on the ladder. And then like LOE releases, and Rag's pretty good now. So
Yeah.
you run Rag and Tyrion and Boom in it, and I've just been steamrolling people. I hit rank 10 and full stars like last night. So
yeah,
That's where
he's
I'm
still
at.
really great even if he's silenced. So that's
yeah.
pretty good.
Yep. Yep. It runs one Keeper of Oldemon as well, and it only runs like one of each of the weapons, which I think is really interesting. So it runs double Shredders. It's very mid-game focused. It runs 2 Belchers as well, and only 6 Secrets.
I have
But it's
found that
not,
Keeper
like,
of
2 of
Oldemon
each.
to be such a sleeper card because it's so effective. You can use it to buff up your own 1/1 to take something out, or you
Yeah.
can take down, a Dr. Boom and make him a 3/3 and take him out a lot easier.
Extremely
I think it's
versatile.
such a great card. Yeah.
Yeah. Did any of you guys have some good arena runs to talk about before we jump into the crafting section?
Arena.
I'm ashamed to
I've
say
been-
I haven't been in Arena in a long time.
I've been trying to get back into it because I haven't played it quite as much, but I did get I got an okay. I haven't had a good run in a while, but I think I had like a 4 or 5 win run on Rogue actually. Which
yeah.
Rogue is probably one of my weakest classes, so I was trying to get better through Arena with it and did decently.
I saw a really cool clip recently with Rogue bursting somebody down by their last 4 cards in hand. Was like 3 Buccaneers and a Blade Flurry.
Oh man.
So he goes like hits everything face, and then goes Buccaneer, 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 dagger up, and hits him in the face and Blade Flurries. And I'm like, dude, that's ridiculous.
Oh
The
man.
card's so good.
I've heard that Miracle Rogue is back.
Miracle Rogue
Oh,
is
yeah.
in fact back. It's
Oh, yeah.
very cool. There's like 4 different versions of it, and a 5th if you want to count the Malagos one.
So old school. I mean, that's from beta.
Yeah.
It's funny because no
Double
one saw
gadget
Tomb
sands and
Pillager.
conceals.
No one saw Tomb Pillager doing much work, but
Colento saw.
yeah, I guess so. He brought back an entire archetype, which is
Yeah.
that's a feat. That's
Oh man.
impressive.
That's pretty awesome.
I was watching Andres from Hearthaholics last night play a couple games with it, and it's true to Miracle in every way. Like losing games, like because you don't draw crap, but you
Mm.
get everything together and you don't do anything, and you just lose. And then there's other games where you just like draw into prep, into sap, into backstab, into eviscerate, and they're dead. And it's like, this is cool. And he wasn't playing the list that I think is the best one that actually runs Faceless Manipulator and a Cold Bloods with
Oh yeah.
the Pirate.
Uh-huh.
So you can play the Pirate into Cold Blood with an Auctioneer down, and then you can prep another Cold Blood and then Faceless Manipulator it and just
Dang.
like destroy them. It's really cool.
Dang.
It's one of those decks that definitely has a very high learning curve. It is
Oh, yeah.
not easy to play. You need to know exactly what you're doing and have a lot of practice with it. So even like I can be happy it's back because I know not everyone is going to be playing it.
Sure.
It's not going to
Yeah.
be rogues all day on the ladder. It's
Yep.
tough to play and tough to make work.
But
we
nothing's
do
more
need
frustrating.
those really high skill level decks out there for those people that really want to challenge themselves and really want to.
Yeah. It's like a fair patron, if you guys are wondering how the deck plays. It's like a
Fair
patron.
patron.
warrior.
I don't know if I'd see. My biggest
What?
problem with
I
playing
don't know
against
if I'm
Rogue
on board with
is
that.
every time I play against Rogue, I feel like I cannot play the game.
Yeah.
They don't allow me because they sap my creature that I play, or they eviscerate my creature that I play. I cannot play the game. So I hate
funny.
going up against Rogue, especially if they have a legend card back. I'm always tempted to concede immediately because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this.
So next time I go on ladder, I need to get an alias and hit legend and play rogue against Andrew.
That's all you need to do, and you've got a 50%
You got a
chance
free
that I'm
concede.
just out. I'm like, no, I don't want to waste my time.
Done.
All right.
One thing
Well-
that's very interesting I want to say real quick about the ladder is there's been a lot of aggro warrior lately.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
these decks are. Eve, I saw you. You retweeted. Who was it? Reynad. Reynad had like a mech warrior list that he came out with.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I noticed that Frid
Yeah.
was playing with one on his stream, and I was just looking at Hearthpwn, and there's a ton of aggro warrior decks that are out there. I messed around with the aggro mech variety, and I probably had a 60% win percentage, and it's a pretty budget deck overall. I mean, they're kind of they're testing out the Cursed Blade, which
Yep.
is still a very risky card, but it can be good if you if you.
Impressed because warrior always seemed like something like a class that should lend itself pretty easily to aggro with all the weapons and charge things and
Yeah.
damage things to give them more attack. It made sense to me. And so when everything was like all control until patron warrior, I was like, really? It's Grom Hellscream and
Corcoran Elite.
yeah, all these things just really lend themselves to a really aggro class. So I was surprised that they were always so slow and so deliberate.
Yeah, I think the reason that deck got popularized was because Chanman had brought Reynad on with Savitz, and they did a couple test runs after their
Right.
podcast. What's it called? I can't think of it right now.
But that is where
But-
that deck
Value
came out
Town?
of.
No.
Value Town.
Is it
Yeah,
Value
yeah,
Town?
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
I've been seeing pretty much everything. Lots of Reno stuff. I lose to
Yeah.
Freeze Mage like every 12th game, and
Yep.
just keep pressing forward.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be finishing up our crafting cards series that's been broken up over the course of before LOE with neutral cards, and then we did one in the middle on the week off of LOE, and then now we're going to finish it. So we're going to start with Warlock.
We're going
What
to
cards
hit
do
it
we
very
need?
hard.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So for Warlock, there's not a ton here with like epics and legendaries. The one epic that I'd say, if you really want to play around with Demon Zoo and stuff, you can get yourself one copy of Bane of Doom, which is the 5-cost spell, deal 2 damage to a character. If you kill it, summon a random demon, and that's a very tempo-y card that you'll find useful to have a one of, but it's definitely not essential for any kind of deck. That's the one epic that I would say you're going to use at some point.
It's a fun card. It's one of those swing cards where you could get something crazy out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Rob's the big fan of the Dank Pony over here, but
I wrote it in.
that's more if you want to have fun with that archetype, because it hasn't made itself into a real viable deck yet. But
Good
yeah.
old Dread Dank
Yeah.
Steed.
Now,
when it comes to legendary cards, that's a little more tricky, because Mal'Ganis and Jaraxxus are both very, very good, and a lot of zoo decks, Demon Zoo especially, you'll find use both of them. Handlock, you have to have Jaraxxus there. Although Handlock is definitely not a
Or Reno.
not a budget conscious deck. Yeah, Reno also. So I decided to go
if
with
Warlock is your favorite class, then you're probably eventually going to get both of them.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But I decided to go with Mal'Ganis as the definite pick for Legend, simply because the Demon Zoo deck is definitely cheaper. You need at least one Doom Guard. What else is expensive that you need in that deck?
Is this Demon Handlock or Demon Zoo?
Just Demon Zoo? Yeah.
Man, I know that you need 2 implosions for rares, but I don't
Sure,
know of
sure.
anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my-
Something,
like you said, it's really budget. I can't think of an epic
yeah.
card.
Yeah.
in there.
Sea Giants, which is a neutral. Those are epics.
That can be helpful, yeah. If you have it. If
Well,
you don't, you can find some other stuff to throw in there. So I would say that Mal'Ganis is probably the only really expensive card for a Demon Zoo deck, and you definitely want a Mal'Ganis in there to get off a Void Collar or something like that, you know. So
Yeah.
that's
Another
my pick.
interesting fact for those Warlock connoisseurs is I believe right now it's like either a tie or maybe Warlock is ahead for the most deck archetypes with a single class
Wow.
that you can play. Just because, like, I could list them off for you really quick, but that's just, I think, honestly, because Reno has entered the meta and has provided you almost an infinite style of Reno decks that you can play with Warlock that are very viable. And
Yeah.
like, I think the worst one is the Dreadsteed one, and that's still basically a tier 3 version of the deck.
Sure.
So it still works, and there are people that are doing things now with Warlock that are really good decks that has basically brought back the old archetype of a combo lock. And if you're unfamiliar with this, and you don't see Reno, some run a Reno version, some don't, but it basically ends up running a double power overwhelming or a triple if you have a an Emperor and Dark Peddler. So you basically power overwhelming an Arcane Golem, and then you Faceless Manipulator, and you burst somebody down for almost over 20 damage. And it's a very powerful deck.
It's sturdy.
Runs similar to like the Malygos Warlock deck. So, but Malygos Warlock deck is beyond insane skill cap to play. So,
That's tough.
anyways, that's just something else that I'll throw out with Warlocks if you're conscious about trying to find a good deck.
Yeah.
Mal'Ganis doesn't. I don't think either Mal'Ganis or Jiraxis is in that list, but I could be wrong. It may run just Jiraxis.
Yeah. And I don't know that we've been this definitive in the past, and you guys can disagree with me. This is my personal opinion. But if you are a budget player who's starting from scratch, I would say hone in on Zoolock. Like, just be able to play that deck really well, because there's a variety or a version you can have of it with only commons and rares. You can definitely find basic, everything if you need to, and you can basically build that, gain experience from that, and learn it. I don't think there's any better class to play with and have the potential to go far on the ladder than Zoolock.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it probably teaches you the game the best of any basic deck that you'll play. I would say that as well. Tempo Mage and Zoo Warlock are kind of the best teaching tools for learning how to play Hearthstone.
And why would you say that, Rob?
Oh, because I think that Mage teaches you the principles of like when to value using your spells on minions versus the face, and when you need to be trading or when you need to be pushing. And then Warlock's Zoo list runs a very board-centric game, so you're always trying to interact with the board, figure out what's the best trades, what things can you leave up, what things do you keep pushing for damage-wise. Do you want to just flood the board and then drop a Sea Giant and then go, or do you want to trade off the board and maybe play the Sea Giant later, something like that?
Yeah, I think that's
so
exactly right.
The deck is very good at teaching you great mechanics.
Yeah.
And especially with Zoo, it also teaches you placement of where to put minions better than Shaman does right now, because Shaman is kind of punishing in a lot of ways. Like, even if you're doing really well with your placement of minions, it still is just not a very powerful deck. So it ends up feeling a lot weaker even when you do everything right.
Where you put your dire wolf.
Where you put your wolf, which cards you power overwhelming, where you put your shredder is extremely important in this deck. So those are just a few things. I think we won't go that in depth with the other decks in the future, but Warlock is a very versatile one.
It's been around, I would say, since the beginning, and it's lasted this long because it is really good.
It's been in tier 1, tier 2 since beta. So
yeah.
All right, Eve, why don't you run us through Hunter next?
Hunter is another one of those decks that's really good for new players because it doesn't have a whole lot of legendaries. In fact, I don't see anybody who's running any of the legendaries in Hunter. in decks right now. The only epic that people play right now is Snake Trap, which is a good trap, a good secret, I mean, and a down the line. I definitely recommend picking it up. I had to craft it, but nothing else really. I had to put some rares in there to round it out and say Eagle Horn Bow is really useful. Ram Wrangler
Yes.
and Savannah Highmane,
Mm-hmm.
but it's such a cheap archetype to play, and a lot of basic cards and a lot of classic cards.
And there's like 3 archetypes. You've got Face Hunter, you've got Mid Range, which has a couple variants, and you've got
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Oh, the 4th is this Beast Hunter that's been running Tomb Spiders recently because they get King Crushes a lot. So
Yeah, see, King Crush is a really great legendary, but you need to pop it out of something. You need to
yeah,
get it
sure.
out of Ram Wrangler or get it out of a spider, or you don't really want to pay for it. But it is a really great legendary if you get it out of something for free.
Oh, sure, yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to that list there, Eve? I mean, I know it's kind of like the perfect deck for newer and or budget minded players to play. It just is.
I think that's the reason it's so hated is because it's so cheap
Yeah.
that so many people play it when they don't have a lot of cards. So it's started to kind of get this reputation of people who don't know how to play Hearthstone play it and still win. But to get it to the higher ranks, you really need to know what you're doing. You need to know when to remove minions and when to go face, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually becomes a lot harder to play once you get into the single digits. It will only get you so far, and then it hits a learning curve after that.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's been like that. So
I don't know what else. There's a lot of neutral cards in the hunter decks, so everything else is either basic or classic.
I do think that Hunter uses a lot of outside of their class cards, like within the neutral area.
Yeah.
Like they'll pull beasts and stuff. So it ends up being pretty good.
I think they haven't changed much. I mean, when they first started out, they kind of used the same cards, and they haven't really changed their archetype at all.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I mean, they got a new secret that I do see popping up, the bear trap. Just to
Yeah,
kind
bear
of,
trap is an interesting thing. Like I've seen lists that say that you can replace snakes with it, but I honestly feel like it supports snakes a lot more. All right, so I think that'll be pretty good for Hunter, unless Andrew, you want to add anything to just like within the neutral realm of cards that are really utilized in Hunter.
No, I agree with you guys. I mean, Hunter's another. I know I just said it about Warlock, but Hunter's another very viable deck to take on the ladder, especially the face. You know, everything's going to be cheap, and it's a good one to invest in, and especially this conversation that snake trap's really all you're looking at. Oh, okay, that's probably something that you can afford, or you may even have all the necessary pieces to really build.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna take over now, and we'll go with Rogue. So Rogue is in another place like Hunter where it's fairly affordable. The only difference is they do have a legendary that you can play, and that's Edwin Van Cleef. But you only need 2 epics to play the class, which is preparation. You need to get both of them. So it's a little bit different than Snake Trap. It's just slightly above it as far as curve is concerned, or as far as dust is concerned. Like you need to have 2 of these instead of just 1 snakes. You need 2 preps. So, but I will say that contrary to Hunter, Rogue ends up being, like we said in the pre-show or in the beginning of the show, that it's a very high skill cap, even if you're just playing normal oil or pirate or miracle or combo miracle or whatever you're playing. It doesn't matter. Like the deck plays with the word combo, and you can't play Rogue without playing combo unless you're doing the Death Rattle one. And it's just not very powerful to play Death Rattle Rogue right now. We talked about it a little bit as it being really good, but the problem with Rogue in the Death Rattle archetype is it draws a lot of cards. It doesn't do well in the late game, and it's kind of just so mid-range centric. You need to beat them before too many turns have elapsed. Like when you have your bottom 5 cards and you're still playing and you haven't quite got the oomph to finish, you just don't have that ability to finish, so you usually lose. But opposite to that, Miracle Rogue has the ability, like we talked about, as well as the regular Oil Rogue, that you can just continually cycle cards really easily. You're comboing cards, you're interacting with the board. You don't have to have a huge board to do much with the deck. You can burst somebody down for 18 really quickly. But the cards that you need to do that are just honestly like a few rares here and there. And like Van Cleef really helps you out. It can swing an entire game to win you if you play it right. And preparation you have to have in order to draw cards or in order to play other cards for cheap and keep playing cards. But Blade Flurry is a must-have rare, as is SI7 Agent. Like you have to have those 2 cards in prep to do anything. Like you have to have doubles of every one of those cards in every single rogue deck except for the Raptor one. And the only other rare card that's a card that you're going to want is the Shady Dealer. You should have 2 of those if you're going to play Pirates, but it's kind of like,
But
yeah.
You're not playing
you don't
Pirates.
really need it.
Yeah.
I think the reason that part of the reason that Rogue is such a high skill level is because it's not really intuitive, possibly for new players. Because when you start playing Hearthstone, you have this idea of having minions out and having spells to provide extra value. But the way Rogue plays, they can be very dangerous with nothing on the board. And nothing on the board for a lot of the game.
Right. It's all about drawing cards, and it's more of like playing poker than playing Hearthstone, because you're kind of just like sitting on your hand and you're waiting to show everyone that you have the royal flush or bluff your way to victory.
Yes,
you know,
the royal flush. That's a really good analogy.
So I think that's kind of how it plays. The problem is getting a royal flush is a lot harder than playing rogue. Like
That's true.
You can get the flush pretty often, so it's more of just like winning with a full house or a small straight. If you're familiar with Yahtzee or poker analogies, like rogue just has the capability. I used to play a lot of rogue in one season and then realized that wasn't playing a lot of rogue because I only have like 28 ranked wins. But I will say that right before TGT released, and around Blackrock Mountain time period, I brought this deck to the Angry Chicken Open and did really well with it. It has the capability of winning. Okay, so like when you play decks and you have bad matchups, right? Every deck has good matchups, every deck has bad matchups. Rogue is kind of like all of your good matchups are still kind of draw dependent, and even though they're a good matchup, you might still lose. But and the other side is also true, like your bad matchups are all winnable. So that's why I think a lot of the pro players that did super well in the World Championship Finals after the Patron nerf picked this deck, is because it has the capability of winning more consistently than Druid.
Yeah, it's really dependent on draw. But yeah, I would agree that it has a chance to win against almost every archetype.
Right, because of the cycle. But the biggest problem with it is that players are finding is that it requires 2 legendaries, and the hidden legendary of Rogue is a neutral card that's called Blood Mage Thalnos. Like that card is basically helping you win games, and people are like, I replaced it with a Cobalt Geomancer for the spell damage, and people are also saying, that's a bad card. I put in a Loot Hoarder, and it's like, well, they both do 2 separate things that Thalnos does both of, and you need both at the same moment for 2 mana.
Yeah.
And you don't really understand how good Thalnos is as a legendary unless you've played Rogue.
I honestly didn't. And I didn't play Rogue that much, so that's probably why. But I looked at Thalnos and went, what? What's the big deal? Like,
Thalnos is
got
so
one
good.
spell damage.
that
It dies and
card
gives you
draw.
a card.
The card draw is a big deal because with Rogue, you want to be able to cycle through your cards. That's why
Right.
Miracle Rogue's so powerful. It almost guarantees that you're going to be able to go through
Yep.
your entire deck, and you have to have the right cards in order for Rogue to work.
Yep.
So
And Thalnos can be an alternate win condition in a lot of freeze made matches as well.
Yeah.
So like I know we haven't really mentioned that because it's the Rogue section, but Freeze Mage uses Thalnos, and there's a reason. Like, dropping Thalnos and double fireballing somebody for 14 damage pushes for 2 more damage than you had before.
Because
Is that a big deal?
one cost, right?
What's that?
He costs 1 mana.
Thalnos is 2 mana.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. What did you say, Andrew?
Is that a big deal?
It can be,
I'm
especially if you're
just playing.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that I've noticed that Thalnos can do is crazy. Like, if he sticks on the board, it's just like almost GG if he sticks on the board and you're playing Freeze Mage.
He's a 1/1, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a 1/1 for 2 mana, Death Rattle, draw a card, and then he also has spell damage +1. So he's stacked stats for some little skeleton body.
Wow.
All right, so let's go back to Andrew, and he'll cover your Druid cards for us.
So Druid's really the best class for a budget player. Just kidding. Just kidding. But no, we've talked about Druid before a little bit. That if you want to play Druid, it's all about getting tokens on the board and utilizing Savage Roar really well. The infamous combo is Force of Nature with Savage Roar because that's a guaranteed 14 damage on the board. So whole idea of a combo deck is to get your opponent down to 14 health and then have those 2 cards in your hand so that you can take them out of nowhere. And pro tip, if you're going up against a Druid and you can tell that they're, that mid-rangey, just kind of playing it safe, not a ton on the board at any given time, then if you're at 14 health, you need to play your anti-kill bot or do something to get your health back up. Because if you're at 14, you're risking
Within
it.
killing distance.
These pro tips.
Yeah. That's important, but I mean that's a significant step in developing your Hearthstone game is thinking from the side of your opponent. What is he trying to do right now? And if your opponent's playing combo Druid, they're trying to get you down to 14 health so that they can kill you. So anyway. That one was free though. So for an epic, obviously you want the Force of Nature more than anything because in order to create a combo deck, you need the combo. So
and you need 2 of them.
Yeah, so 2 Force of Natures is going to be huge. Ancient of Lore is also widely used in all of those decks, and that's just for clarification. That's a 7-cost 5/5. You get to choose either restore 5 health or draw 2 cards, and most of the time you're going to choose the draw 2 cards. Because you're trying to cycle through and find the combo. But if you're really low on health, then you can restore that 5 health and get back up. Also, a lot of those mid-range Druid decks are running 1 Ancient of War, which is either it'll transform into a 10/5 or a 5/10 with Taunt.
Rooted or uprooted.
Yeah, there you go. So that's one you can use if you're really trying to build that up. And then Legendary is obviously Cenarius because he's really powerful. You won't find him in a lot of mid-range decks.
Lately, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's powerful if you've got that token deck because you can just choose to give +2/+2 to everything on your board, and that can be disastrous. But from an empty board, he can summon those 2/2s with Taunt, which
Super Hugger.
Yeah, which all of a sudden brings some defense to the board, and you got the 5/8 body with him, which is pretty powerful. You can trade with. So
such a good body.
Yeah, the Druid that went up against me did exactly what you said. Brought out Cenarius and then did the thing that you give all of your minions. What is it? +2/+2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do the thing, Cenarius.
Do the thing.
I have a confession. I hate Druid.
Really?
I've had such a hard time getting any of those cards that you need. Force of Nature, Savage Roar, Ancient of Lore, Ancient of War. Like, I just don't get them out of packs. And I'm missing so many of them that I finally dusted all my Druid cards.
All
Any Druid card that I could dust, I dusted and made Ragnaros.
Dang.
I was just
That's
like, you know what?
folks.
I'm done with you.
You are inconsistent at coming out of my packs. Go away.
Yeah.
Like, I can't play you because I don't have any Force of Natures. And I want
Her Druid wasn't
legendaries
paying
more than
enough
I want
rent.
epics. And honestly, it's just one of those classes that I don't jive well with. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never feeling Druid.
I do know a lot of players that actually just love Druid. Because it is a specific style. People like the versatility of choose one.
Yeah.
People like the ability of like, hey, oh, that's nice. That's a nice game. I'll kill you when you hit 14. Like, like that's just what people like to do. Another pro tip that Andrew didn't mention that doesn't have to do with rarity of cards, but when you hit maximum mana and you have a like 10 mana turn and you have like a wild growth, you're like, oh, this card is dead. I'll never play it. Well, if you play it on turn 10, it actually gives you a 0 cost access mana card that lets you draw.
Yeah.
So it turns into basically a flare. And you can play it whenever you want in your turn. You don't have to play it first. It's just as much as if your mana is full, it lets you draw. So the card is really good at giving you options. I know that I went up against somebody who drew an Ancient of Lore, and they're still digging for their combo. I was spectating a Druid mirror match of Kevin Cookies of Coin Concede just this morning. And the guy plays Ancient of Lore, and then he's kind of like sitting around mid-health, like 20. He's like sitting pretty safe, and then he just plays, Wild Growth, access mana, draw a card, Wild Growth, access mana, draw a card. Next turn, he plays a combo and he dies. It's just like,
man.
wow, that sucks.
Yeah, that's rough.
So
Yeah, it gives you a card that says you can only have 10 mana.
right.
So draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
For those who didn't know.
Yep. So Druid's fun. I know that my cousin-in-law, like I told you, I helped him make an aggro Druid list that was
Cousin-in-law? Is that a thing? I guess it's
I don't know how you would say it.
Keep going.
I don't know how else to say it.
Second cousin.
Yeah, something like that.
Cousin
it's
once
easier
removed.
to say.
There you go.
Yeah. Good old technicalities. I didn't dust my cousin though. That's good. He was worth all of the dust.
Oh man.
Open in a pack. I'm just kidding. But yeah, he plays aggro druid on a budget with one Fell Reaver and has basically climbed from his personal high at 15 to 12 in one night.
That's not bad.
Pretty cool. And he said that he hasn't been playing the game for longer than 2-3 months. So pretty cool.
Nice.
All right, we got our next set is Paladin, which is my favorite that got me to Legends. So Eve, why don't you go for it?
It's one of those, I played Paladin in World of Warcraft. So when I first started playing Hearthstone, it's one I really wanted to play. But at the time, it was pretty expensive for me because they did, the old after beta decks had a lot of Avenging Wrath, Lay on Hands, Divine
Oh
Favor,
yeah, it was that
Equality,
super
Aldor
control deck.
Peacekeeper. Yeah. Now we've got Quartermaster, Mysterious Challenger, Coghammer one of is being used quite a lot in a lot of the different decks. So and then Tyrion Forge Ring, which I eventually had to craft because I never got him out of packs.
He's too good
And
not
he is
to.
a must-have. He's one of those legendaries that if you're going to play the class, you need
Make him in golden.
Yeah. It is pretty. And you
Listen,
get the
dude,
golden
1%.
Ashbringer. Yeah.
I make him in golden. Yeah, so Avenging Wrath, Lay on Hands, Coghammer, Quartermaster. I would say Mysterious Challenger for the current meta is pretty much the most important epic that you want to craft.
Right.
And then the rares, Equality, Divine Favor, Aldor, Peacekeeper, Muster for Battle, Competitive Spirit, one of. Yeah, they use a lot of class cards because they have a lot of really good class cards. A lot of the other decks use a lot of neutral cards to fill in the spaces, but Paladin uses quite a lot of their own because they're really good.
Yeah, they love that double mustard. That's for sure.
Yes. And so Quartermaster isn't as prevalent as it was a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. Like I said at the top of the show, that deck has just been doing so much work, and it got Bloody to rank 2 in full stars yesterday, so it was pretty good.
What show is Bloody on?
Well, Bloody Face is another player that actually got to the qualifiers and got super far. I think he got dropped right before America's last finals before they selected the top 4 last year. But Bloody is a co-caster with Hamboy on Vicious Syndicate Tuesday night.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay.
So they cast together a lot, and then I casted with Billy, who used to be on Hearthaholics this last
I
week.
gotcha. Bloody and
That's
I are
cool.
friends on BattleNet, and I've been seeing him a lot lately and be like, man, this guy's legit. He's tearing up the
good
ladder.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so any other comments on putting faith in the light before we move on to
Just
letting
do
elephants destroy people?
it.
Okay.
Just do it.
So let's go to the elephants, aka
Elephants guide me.
Shaw.
You guys close the door, please.
So within Shaman, we have similar circumstances with Rogue and Druid. There's two legendaries that you could have, but you don't need. Like, they have Alakir and Neptulon and Mistcaller, but you don't really need Mistcaller. It's kind of a gimmick card. Neptulon is awesome if you want to play control. Alakir is awesome if you want to play control, but right now, current meta, as of 2015 December, you don't need any legendaries. You just need a Doomhammer and How to Hit Face guide. So, but yeah,
Just
Doomhammer
more.
is pretty necessary though in that.
Yeah,
Grew up
like
even.
people say, I only have one. What's the replacement for the second one? Well, the replacement is you need to get 400 dust and craft it. Like, you have to get a second one. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. Like, it sounds rude, but it's like you have to have two Doomhammers to make work of that class. Like, the fact is,
What are you
can
going to
play a
replace a
Doomhammer.
weapon with Wind Fury?
Well, the thing, you can replace
Yeah,
it. It's
that
just
has
not
8
going to
charges.
be as effective.
Has 8 charges.
Yeah, exactly. You're neutering a little bit of your damage output.
You can replace it with Alakir.
No.
Yeah, but even then, you can't play it on turn 5. So
Yeah, exactly.
every fin is awesome. Just play that.
There you go.
But yeah, they're all again, I'll actually dive into the rares here just a bit, because if you're playing the aggressive list that is current meta breaking, I guess you could say, you need the burst cards, which is Lava Burst, which is honestly my favorite spell in all of World of Warcraft, especially when I started playing and raiding as an elemental shaman. This spell does so much work.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you would hit people for, like, huge damage in WoW, and so it really translates to almost like the shaman half-size version of a pyroblast. Like, this card has got that feel, and that's the way it's supposed to feel like when you're playing shaman in WoW. So you need 2 of those, and you also need 1, maybe 2 of the feral spirits to run the deck as well. Helps
yeah,
you
that
just
card
kind of
came back.
get some more work on your shaman trogs, as well as if you're running the slower list with unbounds, it helps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running a list that doesn't run unbounds because I think they're too slow. But
A guy
yeah.
just killed me today with them.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
when they
I saw
work,
that.
they really work, and they're hard to counter. But
Yeah.
if you don't have anything to set them off...
Yeah,
It can
especially
be
if you
too
play them
slow,
against
yeah.
priest and they cabal them and you're just like gonna cry.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
please.
if you want to play them, you can, great, but you don't need them. But you need the feral spirits. So
Yeah.
that's my shaman review for you.
And I think for anybody who's looking to play the more control-y shaman or like a bloodlust shaman or something like that, that's not a terribly expensive deck.
Exactly.
You know, so if you want to go budget, go with those. And really, I can't think of what the expensive cards for that are. I mean, it's, you know, you want your Tesker Totemics, your
Commons.
Thunderbluff Valiant, yeah, and just basic cards, really, more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Shaman's really cool. I'm really sad that Shaman stinks still. I want it to be
I don't know,
good.
Aggro Shaman
I-
is in the top 2
Yeah.
Well,
right now.
Let me put it this way: the Shaman that I want to play, which is Control Shaman,
Yes.
that doesn't have to
Yeah,
like use
that's not
so
good.
many Overload cards that I have to run double Lava Shocks, and if I don't have them, I'm sad.
Yeah.
So I want Shaman to be a thing. Ben Bro just put up a super gimmick deck that has like
Oh, the Battle Cry.
Hungry Crab in it, Battle
Yeah.
Cry with
I-
Mistcaller in it.
I
It
think
looks
there's
really
something
fun,
to it,
but-
honestly. I really, when I saw Rumbling Elemental, I was really excited about it, and it didn't turn out very well, but I still think there's something there that's going to be discovered, because I like that. It's a knife juggler, or a flame waker, just a little bit different, you know?
It's a rock
So-
thrower.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, we have a huge announcement for you that we made on Twitter a couple days ago.
Bum, 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 bum.
We didn't get a chance to say it on the show last week because I forgot. Sorry. But we are recording tomorrow a episode to air on Wednesday, which is Christmas Adam, or 2 days before Christmas.
Ha ha ha. I see what
So
you did there. I see
have
what
to-
you did there.
Sorry. So you don't have to listen to it on like Christmas Eve or Christmas. You can like listen to it while you're traveling. So that's the goal. We're gonna figure out in the post show what that means for New Year's Eve and New Year's, but we'll get back to you. But we have a special guest, Complexity Gaming's Noxious, and also he works in tandem with Gamers Origin. He is not what you would call a professional Hearthstone player, but he is a regular streamer with thousands of followers and does a lot of good stuff for the community within the budget side. Like, he's put together stuff we've mentioned on the show before, like how to maximize your gold, and here's a spreadsheet. Like, this is how you maximize your gold in Hearthstone. This is how you dust cards more efficiently if you're trying to maximize your dust. And he's just like, he's really, really helpful in a lot of things. And he also is always creating these just absurdly fun decks to go play between the ranks of 25 and 10. So he's a good Hearthstone player. He knows how to play. I'll have to ask him if he's ever hit Legend before on the show just to see. But he's a really great guy. I love watching his stream, and we're having him on the show. So if you have any questions,
in other words, hype. That's the story in one word. But
I'm so excited to have him on the show.
It's gonna be awesome.
I hope you guys can benefit from it.
Yeah.
So the other thing, Andrew, why don't you go into this new Hearthstone Facebook group that we just got a part of?
Yeah, we kind of stumbled across this, but
Remember?
we found a community of people in Facebook. It's called The Inn, and it's a Facebook group of people who are just all about Hearthstone. So it's a community, and they're really driven for a very specific thing, specific kind of outcome, specific heart in their community. So we thought it'd be perfect for our listeners because you guys are literally the best. So you should go check them out. It's a place to just, people are sharing screenshots, decks, strategies, all that kind of stuff. So it's something throughout the week that you can use to really connect with some other people and keep talking about the game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have the link in our show notes.
Yeah, the link's in the show notes. It's really cool. It's just like a place for people that play in one-on-one to kind of connect with community members and get practice partners and goof around and
Add to your friends list.
Yep, and not be in Reddit where people hate you. So
Yeah, really
They
good
don't hate
community.
me.
No.
All right, so the last thing that I have as an announcement is the place that I've been going for fireside gatherings recently, and I placed 4th. I got a BlizzCon point.
Way to go.
Ooh,
2
congrats.
weeks ago there. So whoop, whoop. It's just like hitting Legend, only it's much easier when they have a tournament that's like really small. So I don't know if it's officially official that I have that point or not, because they have to submit it to Blizzard and see. But I know the next tournament, on the big one, is on January 30th. It has a prize pool of $500.
Dang.
So I can't remember the total split between first, second, third, but yeah, that's on November 30th, and it's in Indianapolis. So if you guys are in Indianapolis listening, I've been trying to go to the fireside gatherings. They even have small pot weeklies where first place is the only person that gets the pot, and it only is $5 to use the computers and $1 to enter the tourney. And it's kind of like a poor man's tourney on Wednesday nights, and it's really great. Starts at 8. Yeah, if you guys are interested in that, please go. I'll try to show up there almost every week. I used to do this Wednesday night thing with Eve and a lot of people from the Hearthstone community, so I try to maybe balance going on the TAC community subreddit thing with them or doing this fireside. But yeah, do fireside gatherings. They're a really great way to get involved in your community and bolster your friends list.
It's fun.
We do have an email today, but we're going to hold off on it because it's such a good question for Noxious. So we're actually going to address that next week for you. But we do have an iTunes review.
Yeah, we
Eve,
do.
Would you like to read our
Zero
iTunes
Tio?
review?
Is it?
I think it's
Zeroshio?
Zeroshio.
Zeroshio?
Mm.
Zeroshio from Hero
Italian.
Power Podcast. Oh, I love it when we get reviews from other podcasters.
Yeah. Hype?
Amazing show concept. 5 stars. This show introduced me to the idea of a budget player. The advice and opinions are very helpful and informative. I consider myself an old school Hearthstone player, but this show always has info that I find useful. Wow, thank you.
Thanks, Zeroshio.
Thanks, Zero.
Yeah, they have a fairly new podcast as well, and they've been doing pretty good too.
Hero Power.
I think theirs is more of a news-centric Hearthstone, and then they have shorter episodes. I think they try to get theirs down to like 40 minutes, and then after that, they play 2 or 3 games in the post show on a live stream. So it's pretty fun. They'll do some
Cool.
gimmick decks and stuff. So it's semi-casual, I would say, is probably the best way to say it. News-centric, semi-casual podcast. So if you like them, go check them out. They're cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for leaving us that 5-star review, Zero Show.
They have a lot of fun together too, so they're fun to listen to if just for that.
Uh-huh. Yep. So, Andrew, why don't you let our viewers know how they can get involved with our show?
You guys know how to get involved because you're the best.
That's right.
Seriously,
That's what I'm looking for.
You're the best. No, for real though. We appreciate all of our listeners because you guys make this thing happen every single week. By reviewing the show, you help us bump into noticeable ranks so that new people can find us when they're searching for Hearthstone podcasts on Stitcher and iTunes. You can always find us on Twitter and talk with us there. Shout out to Watchman, by the way, for kind of giving us some suggestions for the show, and really appreciate that guy. He credited us for helping him on the ladder, but he's doing way better than any of us three right now. So he's helping me out actually too. So that's what this podcast is all about.
Those who can't do teach?
Something like that maybe. Anyway, you can find us on Patreon and support us on there. Shout out to Gabriel, right? That's his name?
Hype? Gabriel?
I got to connect with him last week, and he's really cool. He's a budget player too, and has been doing pretty well in the ladder lately, it seemed. And he's helping us make the show better by supporting us financially. So we really appreciate that, Gabriel. And it's a great way to get involved. You can also, we'll tell you our battle tags. You can find us on Battle.net, and we're happy to spectate, or you can spectate us, and we can talk about the game and get better. We can play angry chicken decks against each other or something. I don't know.
I'll play Freeze Mage.
Freeze
Make you
Mage,
cry.
yeah, there you go.
Speaking of Angry Chicken, I was listening to them the other day, and I'm really interested in finding a list of Willie Dills' deck that he said he put all the adventurers in.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah, like it sounds super fun. You
Reno,
have Bran in
Bran,
there,
Elise.
and Elise Starseeker, and Reno,
Rafam.
and even the guy who's
Misfit
still on
Rafam.
staff. Yeah.
He's like the Misfits. Like, here, we're going to give you all the cool people you helped, and then you can get this douche canoe that just screwed your whole adventure up. It's like, oh, thanks.
But now he gives you amazing artifacts.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I lost to Rafam this week, actually. Somebody was playing Priest, and I was playing Aggro Shaman, and I had no damage left, and like he's just like, I'm gonna play Rafam, and I removed the Rafam and was going. I was like, maybe I can close this out, because maybe he took the wrong buff, and he took the Mirror of Terror, which fills the board with 3/3 mummies, and I was like, concede.
I might
Yeah.
should maybe save this for Noxious's, but I think maybe Rafam could replace some legendaries in Priest. It seems like he could fit in there for end game damage pretty well, like Ysera.
I want to do a Priest deck, like you're saying, with Rafam in it, but have the genie in it as well, and then maybe like drop something on the field and do the 10/10 buff and get the genie and something else and just like smack them for something. That'd be so cool.
I think it would
All
be
right.
a good archetype to stick him in, because Priest does have a lot of lasting power, but then you find it hard to close out the end of the game. So I think he'd be an efficient deck to go into.
Alternate win conditions. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the show. You can find, like Andrew said, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook. You can email us at the show. Today is actually the same day that we're recording is the last day that we'll take questions for Noxious, just because we're recording tomorrow. So please submit emails or tweet at us or Facebook at us so that we have more things that you guys want to know from Noxious that we can ask him. Again, thanks to Gabriel for Patreon support. We would love it. We finally got our own thing, so patreon.com/VelensChosen. You guys know where to find us on our website for the show notes is VelensChosen.posthaven.com. And if you want to go on Esports Hero and challenge your buddies for some small currency, we have 5,000 coins to get you started with Velen's Chosen 15 promo code.
I need to
Andrew,
get
where
back
can
on
people
there.
find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AndrewsLiving, and on there I've been lately trying to update with ladder stuff, even though it's been bare minimum. But hopefully I can continue the streak, and Christmas break will be a good time to really get in some more games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on YouTube at BinacaFreak. I'll probably actually do some streaming a little bit this next week too on Twitch, so you can find me at Andrews Living on there too. So,
Nice.
I had somebody ask me the other day if I was streaming. I was like, "What? You want to see me stream? Okay." So this next week I might try and do that in the
Supply
evenings.
and demand.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's me. And BattleNet Andrews Live number 1973.
Nice. Eve, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Finnovar, FHINNOVARR, and Twitch, Evemartyn, EVEMARTYN. And yeah, I'm pretty stingy with my BattleNet. Apologies. I may have had bad experiences in the past, so
No apologies.
if I get to know you and you
Let's tweet at her.
ask for it and I feel comfortable, I may give it to you.
Yep. So, I actually just streamed again for a little bit last week, or on Monday, just testing it out, and I might do some more. I don't know. We'll see. I know that I might pop on to Vicious Syndicate and do some casting, so check them out. And I'll put my Twitch in the show notes. I think it's just NotRobMay. I think it's pretty easy. You can find me on Twitter at NotRob, Facebook, NotRobMedia is where you're going to find my stuff for photos and stuff like that. BattleNet, I am Twick, TWIK number 1198. You can find my other comedy podcast, Goofing Around. We haven't recorded in a little bit because of Christmas stuff going on with my other friends, but add me on Steam. I'm playing Rocket League with the guys at Hearthaholics quite a bit, actually. It's really fun.
Ice hockey.
And the ice hockey map is supposed to just come out. I don't know. We'll see if that works out. I'm trying to learn how to get better. There's also a new game that's out in open beta called Brawlhalla, and it's kind of like Super Smash Bros with smaller characters, and they're really goofy.
Nice.
But it's really fun. I played it a couple times. It's kind of hard, but I like it.
I've been playing
Alright.
Destiny. They added a new thing to the game called Sparrow Racing.
Sparrow Racing.
Yeah, the kind of hover thing that you ride around on in the game. They decided to make it a racing.
Oh, okay.
Mini game?
Allow you to race with it. So they've only got 2 maps so far, but it's been a lot of fun to try
Nice.
that out.
Rob, I forgot to mention, I think I'm getting a 3DS for Christmas, so I might actually be jumping into some Smash or Pokemon or something here pretty soon.
Nice, grats.
You got a DS. Sweet, dude. We'll have to play. I actually considered buying Cloud, but I don't know. I kind of want to get Ryu too.
$5 for I'm kind
know,
of
it's too
disappointed in that.
steep.
Yeah.
It's Cloud, though.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll have to see some more clips. I really like playing Duck Hunt too much, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And I found out, what's her name with the hair that wraps around her is coming to...
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
but kids play this game.
But the children.
Yes,
The
yes,
children.
that was my thought. But the children. And then I
Oh,
saw her
that's awesome.
fight, and you know how she usually loses all her hair. They keep it in certain strategic places, but still,
But the children.
yes. Come on, I have 3 kids under 10, and that was pretty
The
much
payment gate will befall your children. They will not be able to play Bayonetta.
yeah.
That's right.
That's so funny.
This is not
All
free
right.
DLC.
Well, thanks for tuning in this week, guys. We really appreciate it. Tune in next Wednesday for Noxious. It's been a pleasure, and not who am. No
Struggle
bloopers
much?
today. Everything in the post show is gonna be bloopers.
There we
You
go.
guys, if you last this long, you're gonna have some fun. All right. So not all who wander on the ladder are lost. We'll see you next week. See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Winterfell.
Happy Winterfell.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, go play Destiny with Eve.
It's super
Games of Destiny.
I've been playing.
Oh, and I forgot
I've
to
never
mention, Rob.
enjoyed
I,
a first-person shooter as much as this.
that's good. Did we lose Rob?
I lost you.
Yeah, I just heard a big, long silence. So whatever you said I forgot to mention, I didn't hear.
Oh no, I stopped talking because I heard you.
Oh,
You
you're
were
all
talking.
waiting for each
So,
other?
yeah.
You're like, is he talking? I can't hear him.
This is gonna go in the bloopers. This
Okay,
is so
that's
good.
good. That's good.
That was ridiculous.
Just the way we like it, right?
I think
You know what Jiraxis says for Wintervale, though, right?
What?
He's like, "I will feast on your soul this Winter's Vale."